Dear all, welcome to Travel Tech, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. It's our pleasure to have everybody with us today, all the participants here. We're going to have moderated with myself, Paula Cabrera for Not Street Chatbot. We're going to have Philip Niemann for Atomize, Damiano Zennaro for Ideas, Erik Munoz from Libra, Fernando Cuestas from Amadeus. All of you, be welcome to the Travel Tech. For the person that is the first time you are joining us here, this is the fourth event that we're having right now for Emea. It's the last one of this year. We already have 4 of them. So if you'd like to go to our website, that is traveltech.space, you can double check the Travel Tech Brazil, Portugal. You can double check also Travel Tech Asia Pacific. You can double check Latin Spanish speakers and Spain. That was the last one before the EMEA. So welcome everyone. Travel Tech has been founded by myself and Federico Elmer, as we saw a gap in the market where hoteliers needs to have more knowledge and sometimes maybe don't see all of us here as a salesperson. That is the guy that comes to sell. No, we are the guys that really understand hoteliers issues. We really understand how make you more profitable, how make you get more revenue. We understand how to give you tips to better do your digital marketing, even if you have a big team of marketing. It's always good to have professionals as the one we're going to have here today. So welcome everybody. We're going to have an entire week with a lot of sessions with a lot of important people here. So don't miss out. We still have the time to go to traveltech.space, register yourself, and get inside of the next events. So, and just to open Travel Tech Emea, telling everybody next year we're going to have 5 events. Okay, we start on March with US and Canada. After that, we're going to have Travel Tech Brazil and Portugal. Then we're going to have Travel Tech Asia Pacific. Then Travel Tech Latin and Spanish speakers and Spain. And we're going to finish the next year with EMEA again. So I invite all of you to keep tuned. Follow us on Travel Tech. Follow us on our website to get tuned for the next events, and welcome. Travel Tech is all about knowledge. Here, we're not here today to sell you nothing. That's the good thing. So enjoy the session, enjoy the participants, and we are very glad that you register yourself and join us. So right now, my name is Vinicius Geraldo. Welcome everybody. I'm going to pass the word to Paula Carreira for that suite. She will present herself, and after that, she will provide the word for each participant to have the time to express themselves also. Everybody, welcome. I'm very happy to have you here. Paula?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Vinicius, and thank you so much, Travel Tech, as well, for the invitation. Like Vinicius said, my name is Paula Carreirão, hard name to say, but I work in international content marketing at Ask Suite. And before that, I used to be a hotelier, so I relate to a lot of problems that you all guys having right now. I'm very honored, very happy to be here as a moderator of this great panel that we're gonna talk about revenue management and pricing and all that. And if there is something that is important, it is revenue. It's what keeps us all alive. So before we start the questions, we would like to our guests to introduce themselves for us, so everybody knows who they are, and they're a little bit about their company as well. We're gonna start with Damiano. Damiano Zennaro is the director in Global Advisory Service at Ideas Revenue. So welcome, Damiano. Thank you so much for being here. And could you please introduce yourself and your company briefly for us?
Yeah, sure. No, thank you very much, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me and Ideas, for this panel today. So I'm very excited for the next hour just to spend together. So my name is Damiano Zennaro. I joined Ideas back in March last year after almost 17 years at Intercontinental Hotels Group. So I always been passionate, in dealing with revenue management systems and education. So I'm now leading the advisory services of Ideas in the region. So the advisory services looks at people and processes together with technology, because we know that often people and processes rather than technology itself is the biggest challenge, when moving to a fully automated revenue management system environment. So Ideas is a company with more than 30 years experience in driving best revenue management, with more than 14,000 clients roughly. So we manage pricing for about 2.3 million of rooms in 140 countries. However, Ideas is not only about room revenue, so we also provide hotels with a planning and performance insight solution, so RevPlan. So it's a tool that leverages scientific forecasting methods for rooms, F&B, and other income streams to build a forward-looking business plan based in data-driven reality. And Smart Space, which is a tool that visualizes better revenue for your functional space. So all in all, we are very passionate about total revenue management and profitable revenue management. And our mission is really to deliver innovative analytic solutions, to improve total revenue performance for hospitality and not only. So parking is another area where we are very active in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Damiano, and welcome again. Our next guest will be Philip Niemann. He is the COO at Atomize. So thank you so much, Philip, for being here with us today. And could you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your company as well?
Of course. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Vinicius. It really is an honor to be here and represent Atomize. So as Paula mentioned, I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for the company. I'm looking after the commercial infrastructure of the organization, driving market access and market growth. So basically responsible for all aspects of the commercial operations when it comes to sales and sales operations and customer success. I was just thinking back about my, when you turn back the time, a couple of decades. I'm a native to Singapore. Vinicius was asking about this a couple of minutes ago. So that's where I was born and raised, and have been living for 25 years of my life, and have been in hospitality for about the last 20 years. I didn't start in revenue management. I actually started as a houseboy in banqueting, setting up function rooms in Singapore, and then worked in the kitchen, and then went to Cornell, to the School of Hotel Administration, to do my bachelor. And that's when I found my passion for revenue management. It was instigated, I would say, by the ability of working and being taught by great minds. There was Breffney Nguyen or Dr. Sherry Kimes, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And then my path took me to a role in Singapore with Starwood. So I was working in the corporate office in a revenue management capacity before transitioning to a revenue leadership position in Australia on the beautiful Sunshine Coast in Noosa, and then Bangkok for 5 years before coming back to Singapore and working with IHG in an area revenue management role. And that's when my career took a bit of a shift, and I moved into technology. I was one of the founding team members of Duetto in Asia Pacific, overseeing customer success. And as time went on, I took on the responsibility of deployment and got more involved on the integration front. And for the last year and a half of my 5-year tenure at Duetto, I was leading the company's, also the company's sales and market access efforts in Asia Pacific. And now I have the privilege of working with an amazing team at Atomize. It's been an incredible journey so far, working with brilliant minds who really want to see the industry get the most out of technology and bloom through this adversity that we're currently experiencing, embracing automation, real-time price automation, and just general ease of use of interacting with this great technology that we have available to us. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Philip, and welcome again to Travel Tech. Our next special guest is Erik Munoz. He is the CCO at Lybra Hotel Revenue Assistant. So thank you, Erik, for being here today, and welcome to this event. Could you please introduce yourself as well and talk a little bit about your company?
Thank you, Paula. Yes, it's nice to be here, and I'm not just saying nice to be here to be polite, because that's the right thing to say, which we all genuinely feel, but I'm somebody who is, let's say, only singularly talented. I've only got one bit of experience in my life. I went from high school to hotel school, and then while I was at hotel school, I had to get a job to pay for hotel school, and I was lucky. I started working with Hilton. I didn't know Hilton from any other hotel. I thought everything's the same. But it was only years later when I left Hilton that I realized, wow, we really did things in a good way at Hilton. And I was very, very lucky to have that experience. After Hilton, I was working in luxury resorts and then boutique hotels. But basically, since '96, I've been working in hotel tech. So I'm not going to tell you how old I am. other than I'm probably older than you think I am. But since '96, PMS systems, online distribution systems. I used to work with ideas. I don't know whether Damiano is there, but he is there on my side. So anyway, so I've really worked.
Amadeus at your side. It's the
Okay.
yeah, great, awesome.
So hotel tech, yeah, RM systems, distribution, PMS, and I love it. But what it means is that if I meet people from my wife's friends, or we go to a barbecue before when we were allowed to do barbecues, and you meet somebody, right? Just random, the parents of your children's friends, whatever, and they sometimes will say, so, what do you do? Well, I just say I do software for hotels and resorts, just to keep it simple, right? And usually they say, is that like booking.com? Yeah, okay, yes, it's like that. Yeah, we sort of push pricing, and that's where I leave it, right? And sometimes they're more interested, but I never get to talk in detail about it unless we have a panel like today or people like today. So I genuinely enjoy this opportunity. I'm working as Chief Commercial Officer with Lybra. Lybra is obviously an RMS, and Lybra is part of the Zucchetti group of companies. So Zucchetti Hospitality is one division within the group. We have 32,000 hotel customers who are using one or more of our software products. It could be a PMS, it could be a booking engine, etc. So we have 32,000 hotels. We have 90,000 point of sale customers, food and beverage primarily in either restaurants or retail. And at Libra, we have approximately 500 hotel customers, and we are doing, like I mentioned before, revenue management. So yeah, it's a delight to be here today. And as you can tell, I haven't spoken to somebody else about technology for a long time, so I'm quite excited.
Awesome, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Erik, and welcome again to Travel Tech. And our next guest is Fernando Cuestas. He is the Senior Vice President Europe at Amadeus Hospitality. So welcome, Fernando. Thank you so much for being here today. And could you please as well introduce yourself and the company, please?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to be here with you, with my colleagues here. And good afternoon to everybody. We are here. I'm here in Madrid. You can see the sunshine. At least we have some sunshine. So it's nice to be here with you. Well, I'm Fernando Cuesta. I'm responsible for Europe in Amadeus Hospitality. As you know, Amadeus Hospitality, we acquired Travel Click 2 years ago and New Market 5 years ago. So it's our area of biggest growth now in Amadeus. Not today because the situation that we have, but we are really focused on growing on hospitality. We have 55,000 customers in our portfolio, and our portfolio is very simple. I mean, we try to help customers mainly on the data, not only the data of the past days, but also the data on the future and business intelligence. We help customers, to grab all the demand as they can, as we can. I mean, we try to grab all the demand for our customers for those 55,000 in terms of technology, with presence in 150 countries in hospitality. In the area of travel or airlines, we have presence in every single country in the world except for one, for political reasons. And then we help customers as well to be efficient in their connectivity with third parties, and we provide, all the connectivity in any channel. I think we will discuss about channel management today within revenue, the important part of revenues. And this is what we do. We help our customers for getting more revenues, to be more efficient on cost, and to have better experience with the customers. That's what we do here in Amadeus Hospitality.
Thank you a lot, Fernando Cuestas, for your presentation. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Erik. Thank you, Damiano. Every one of you are always welcome to Travel Tech. So, guys, before we start with the first round of questions, I just will to speak with our with your attendance. Guys, everybody that's there, ladies, please don't, on the right side, if you're from the computer, on the right side, you have write it questions. So during the entire session, I will request for all the attendants, you can go there in the question sides. On the right side, you can set all your questions because this is the unique forum and online event all over the world that we're going to give you 25 minutes to interact with Damiano, with Erik, with Fernando, with Philip, and we're going to make them answer your personal questions concerning revenue. So don't miss out this opportunity. Go to the right side of your screen on questions and write all your questions from now. At the end of the second round of questions, we're going to do the interaction between all the participants and you guys that are listening to it, and ladies, sorry. When I say guys, I'm so sorry. It's more North American the way I speak, so don't be mad, guys, ladies, everybody. So, and the last thing, first of all, before we start, I would love to thank you for all our sponsors. Thank you, Ideas, to be a sponsor. Thank you, Libra Technology, to be a sponsor for us. Thank you, HS Latin, that is my company. It'll be a spoiler here. Thank you also. Thank you for Ask Sweet Chatbox. Thank you, Eva Max, for all the help they're giving to us from the first beginning. Thanks a lot for Tech, and thanks a lot for Booking Now, Booking Engine from Greece. All of us are really happy to have this and the fourth event of the year. So I will remember everybody that are listening to us. If you would like to join the last events that we have for Brazil and Portugal, Asia Pacific, Latin, Spanish speakers, and Spain, you can access traveltech.space. You will see the last 4 events we did this year. And for the next year, we're going to have 5 events again, and we're going to have a few surprises after Emea that we'll publish. Don't will be only a photo, it will be more than that. So right now, thank you, everybody. Don't forget to set up your questions. Paula, it's our time again.
Thank you, Vinicius, and we from SSuites are very happy to support this great event, Vinicius. It's a really great job you guys are doing here, putting together so many amazing professionals. And only with this presentation, I'm very excited to hear what all of you have to say, because it's a lot of experience here. So I'm very excited. We go to the first question then, and it goes to Philip. And you guys are gonna say the question twice. I'm gonna read the question twice just to make sure that everybody understands it. So, Philip, with more technologies entering the hospitality space and automation becoming a key focus, what do you believe the impact will be on the employment landscape? So I'll read it again. With more technologies entering the hospitality space and automation becoming a key focus, what do you believe the impact will be on the employment landscape? So to you, Philip.
Thank you, Paula. I think this is one of those instances where I feel everyone's thinking about it and about the changes that are going to be happening, but not necessarily everyone is saying or wanting to talk about it. I mean, hotels will undoubtedly be more cost conscious as we go forward, and technology is going to facilitate them in being able to streamline the procedures and to be more cost conscious, right? So, but on the flip side, technology is also creating new jobs while replacing old jobs and how things have been done in the past. And that's just, I think that's just the way the world works, where we can't keep doing things the same way. It's like this classic saying, which I'm sure we're all familiar with: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's not going to happen. So with technology, you're creating an abundance of opportunities, and it's now our responsibility to find out what that looks like. When I look at smaller hotels and I think about the people that are working there, they have to wear many hats, right? So the person who put through maybe the latest rate change also assigned to your room, and maybe the one checking you in and serving you coffee in the next morning. This also means that there are a number of friction points in the guest experience, and what technology is going to do there, it's going to make things more seamless. It's going to help the employees interact with guests more frequently, provide better service. And then the RMS, what it will do is will help the hotels make more money. So they will be looking for something that's easy to understand, quick to implement, constantly runs, is on autopilot and in real time. For independent and larger properties, the revenue leaders need to become more strategic. So technology will take care of more of the tactical decisions. And the same would apply for chains. For chains, actually, they would also be experiencing a greater push for revenue leaders to be in clusters and area positions. So you have to consider that the information in those roles and also is becoming more complex, more abundant. And given the immense amounts of data and information that needs to be ingested to make a decision, this will be automated. And revenue leaders will then have tools available for them to provide more insight into the guests and the guest behavior, understanding the lifetime value of the guests, and pricing accordingly. So this is where BI, I think, will play a key component. Now, if you think about the long view into the future, will likely have us being increasingly able to price on a per person basis. So that's still a ways away. But we will want to come to a point where we truly understand the profitability of independent customers by segments. And e-commerce has been doing this for many years now. So we just have to get used to it also when it comes to the hotel space. But before we get there, I think that's something that's really key that we have to be aware of, and we need to be able to embrace confidence and trust in the technology. And I spoke to a colleague about this last week about a similar topic, and the analogy that we used was how we're interacting with sat-nav systems, right? So when navigation systems were first introduced, we would double check the route that was highlighting to make sure that it wasn't taking any unnecessary detours, was getting us to our destination the quickest way possible. It took us a while to get comfortable with the technology, but now we're ready to just sit in the car, put in a destination, and the GPS tells us where to go. And it even updates us in real time what the traffic situation is and suggests alternative routes to get us there safely and as efficiently as possible. And that's, I believe, where we're also heading and getting to increasingly with technology on the RMS front. So I'll tell you a bit of a side story. I've only been with Atomize for barely 2 weeks. So I'm still pretty fresh to the organization, and being the curious person that I am, I actually asked the founder and someone on the data science team the other week when I was in Sweden, this real-time optimization feature, how does it work, and what motivated them to put it in place? And they told me they were fundamentally driven to address the pain point of manually adjusting and guesstimating prices, and they wanted it to be a focus on ingesting forward-looking data. Because we can't keep looking at our rearview mirror to make these forward-looking decisions for each of our room categories, of course. And then they said to me, and Philip, life doesn't happen in 8 or 12-hour increments. Life is real time, and the same thing should be for your RMS, and that's very true, right? So you've got some of the other systems out there that go on an increment basis, whether it's 6, 8, or 12 hours. And I think the adversity that we're experiencing as a result of the pandemic is only going to accelerate this drive towards adapting this technology. Now, to assist with instilling this confidence and trust, I feel we need to keep it simple. Too many functions and features becomes overwhelming to many, and simple to use and easy to understand by anyone is key. Just like how we specify a destination in the GPS, right? So the complexity lies in the algorithm and the forward-looking data, and that shouldn't be fully understood or need to be fully understood by the user. He or she should be able to trust it, and then just needs to know how to interpret the data and the information and the direction that the business needs to take. And I think that's where larger hotel companies and organizations may have to exert a paradigm shift of sorts, because simple does not mean less sophisticated or less effective. On the contrary, it can actually make revenue leaders even more successful in their roles. So again, to summarize, automation is happening, right? We need to embrace it. Some jobs will be replaced by new jobs. New opportunities will be created, and I think overall, what technology is supposed to do is that we will live more fulfilling work lives and make our businesses more money.
Right, Philip, I do have a follow-up question here. You did mention that hotel software should keep it simple, and that the users have to trust the technology, right? And what we see too, Philip, I don't know if you agree with me, is that the hotel industry, it's usually very conservative, very traditional. And what happens sometimes is the hotel buys a tech tool, but the decision is made from the top, and then the whole hotel staff they are not aware of why they're doing this or how to use it to make the best of the tool. So what would be your thoughts? I mean, you were talking about in the hotel tech perspective to make it easier and user friendly. So what hotels, do you have any inputs about on how hotels can actually take the best advantage, maybe do some training? I don't think most hotels do any training. They just buy a hotel tech software and expect people to use it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I know, I agree, and that's a great point. And a lot of times, hotels, buy this technology and don't give any reasoning behind it, why they've put it in place. There is always a bit of a learning curve. I think that we need to exert and explore when embracing new technology. Yeah, and definitely training and the whys around what this, why this technology is being utilized and what the aim is. Begin with the end in mind. Where is it that you're trying to go? And how will this technology help you get there? I think that's really going to be key. That's really going forward.
I would like to give an opinion, very short. I totally agree with Philip concerning that RMS. Right now, this is simple. I'm working on this trade from 2004, so it's a long time. I'm getting old also. I can say my age, it doesn't matter, but I don't say either. But what I see right now is like a change. It's like a change. Because in the past, we saw a revenue manager that he was the Excel, or he has in the past ideas. In 2007, I remember 2006, 7, and 8, I remember ideas being the biggest one in the market. I used to work for Travel Click at that time, and I will implement for a lot of different chains all over the world ideas. However, in that time, we have the revenue managers that only work to see, okay, let me create like a plan where I can have a price for 10% occupation, 20% occupation, and just looking for the occupation and maybe looking for the prices for the competitors. That was everything they did. Right now, in what I see that the revenue managers, and a few of them do not saw that yet, but they need to, is that the revenue management right now is not only about rates. It's not about only distributions. That needs to be totally work together with marketing, with promotions. With key needs to be very key to understand where my guests coming from, what kind of geolocalization strategy I need to do. So for those revenue managers that still thinking that the only thing they need to do is do their job and look for those tools, no, you need to be more, or you need to work as a team. The decisions cannot, like, I used to say that, for example, e-commerce, and the hotel e-commerce means revenue management, sales team, marketing team, and publicity team. So those 4 points need to be together to make the revenue management worse. And also strategies. We need to have strategies for direct sales, and we need to have strategies per channel. What I see normally with revenue managers, what they set is a flat organization, a flat strategy all over the direct and indirect channels for that distribution. I think, in my opinion and my knowledge, that's not correct. We need to understand that. If I have, for example, Booking.com that I pay 60%, and I have another one that pays 30%, I cannot apply the same strategy for all the channels at the same point. Because, okay, you need to make, to get reservations, to increase your availability and everything. But you also need to make money. And if you set the flat strategy, flat discounts below the channels, that will help. This is just a tip and hints I would like to share with the and I hope the people here, the experts, tell me I'm in a good way here for the opinion. So I let you know, Damiano and Erik, Fernando, do you like to set some opinion about Philip's or what myself just said, please?
I think from my point of view, it's a question of culture, right? So, and I think, and when I say culture, I think there is also a question of education. So they are all linked together, right? So we were thinking about having, revenue management on top of our what's happening already in the last years. However, we always struggle a bit just to, concur to gain that position of strategies, if you wish, right? So we always struggle a bit as a revenue manager. I think that now it's really developing. It's probably the best time just to make sure that we are there and that we understand what's really happening. As you said, Vinicius, I mean, it's all a combination of many data points and many other activities than only rooms. So when we talk about total revenue management or profit of revenue management, exactly what you're saying. So there are many revenue streams, and there are more profitable revenue streams than others. So I think that is all coming together now, and the pandemic hopefully accelerated this process, which is already undergoing. So I think big brands are already thinking commercially, right? Rather than, so if I remember when I started, I was reporting down into sales, right? So I was a revenue manager, was reporting to sales. Then suddenly it was sales and marketing, and then suddenly it was commercial. So and then suddenly revenue manager was independent, and then sales was going backwards, traditional sales, right? So traditional marketing is probably going backwards. So I think it's a great time for revenue management because it's trying to put all these pieces together and just find the best solution. And again, it is about data, right? But it is about strategy as well. So when we just talk about employment or people or fearing that computers will take over, it's always be a synergy between human and technology. I think you will need to change, right? So if you want to survive as a revenue manager, or you need to probably change and follow the flow in terms of being and becoming more strategy, more commercial. But I definitely agree that all these pieces are now they're all coming together. So absolutely.
Thank you, Damiano. Somebody else have an opinion? If not, I go to the questions to Eddie.
Yeah, just to add one thing, Vinicius,
yes,
I think I will take the word of Filippo about simplicity, but simplicity helps us in our day of doing things. And coming back to Paolo's question, I think that I think it's important to automate, all the simple tasks, all the tasks that have lower value, and put the human being on the value added, which is the human interaction. When you can perceive that the service is great, so if we can facilitate, and coming back what Damiano was saying about the data, I think that for any revenue management, we need to start with the data, and sometimes, if I want to go by car from Madrid to Paris, I mean, we were used to look to the back mirror, and that's it. Let's remind how I was traveling to Paris last year with the back mirror, with the data that we had in the past. Now the technology provides the data that you have in the future, so you can see also your let's say your glass, how do you call it in English? Is the windshield, you can see the windshield, and you can see what is happening in the road, and now for example, in the case of data, you can see, if I'm in Madrid and I'm competing with some hotels in Madrid, I can see which are my competitors, what is the level of availability, I can see their prices, but not on the past. I can see the future. I can see what is the price that they're having for next week, for the following week, for the next month, for the following 3 months. So it's important to take advantage of the technology and to put these minor things that for me I think are simple, to analyze, and to put it in the head of the revenue manager, where he has to put his intelligence, to manage. But on the data, we need to take advantage of the technology, not only look for the past, but also look in the future. And we have that today, that can allow you to better compete with the rest of the hotels. I mean, and I think in this highly competitive industry, I think we are all used, to compete. It could be with price, it could be with services, it could be with a guest experience, it could be with many other ways. But we have all the things, all the data that could allow us to better compete, and I'm just talking about the business intelligence. I think that we put intelligence into the data, because the data is there, and that's the human value added. We need to put that in the competition, arena, to think how can better overcome between me and others. Yeah.
Awesome. So
yeah,
I will follow now.
If I can make a comment there, because Fernando hits the nail on the head, right? He's right. We can look so much further ahead, and one of the comments that you mentioned about one of the pathways that we'd be taking is that we are looking more on the profitability side of things, right? Because you mentioned that the OTA segment might not be giving you as much profit as your retail segment through your branded website, right? So we do need to start looking at that on a more granular level as we move forward, because that's where there's going to be the focus. The focus is going to be on profit maximization, not just pure revenue.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Philip. Thank you very much. Erik, you want to say something when I go to your question? You decide.
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's move forward. So, Erik, look, we're passing this, I don't know how to say it. I don't know, it's this moment that we are passing through for the last 7-8 months all over the world has changed most everything. So we have revenue management for corporate hotels that we know mostly all over the world do not go up more than 30% occupation. Then we have leisure, depending on where you are, you can have 85, 90% occupation. Right now, that's Central and South America that is working the leisure, for example. So the question, concerning this little and fast introduction, will be, how has the current pandemic changed hotel revenue management process and pricing? I will repeat the question. How has the current pandemic changed hotel revenue management process and pricing? You have 5 minutes, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. So I think I just want to be really clear at the beginning to make a point that clearly not every hotel is in such a terrible situation as other hotels. There are properties in different parts of the world that are doing really, really well. I'm not going to speak about those hotels today, but clearly there are. There are destinations where they are 2 hours drive from a major city, and they're doing just perfectly well. However, I think it's correct that most hotels are not really in a strong position to be able to survive a really long period of really low demand. Yeah, so from March until now, it's 7, 8 months now. So in that environment, what most hotels will do is obviously try to reduce their operating costs. Those costs tend to be either people or other processes and tools they're trying to reduce as much as they can. So for a lot of hotels today, they're either in survival mode or they're just operating in a way they know they can survive if it goes for 1 or 2 more years. There's a different balance there. There's a different motivation for a lot of properties, depending on that the background requirements of the business. Do they own the hotel building or not? Are they a management company? Are they a franchise operator? These things affect the business quite a lot. But regardless of the hotel type, the question will be raised: when will business pick up? Yeah. Now, if your hotel is in a major city, the flights that are coming in and out of your destination, whether they are increasing or also decreasing, is your airport open or closed? These types of things become a much bigger factor now than what they used to. So normally the revenue manager, when presented with the straightforward question, when will things pick up, would go back to see what was 2019 looking like, 2018 looking like. And I think we all already in today's panel agreed that looking historically to try and help us predict what's going to happen in the future, it has just changed. We can't rely on those historical demand patterns anymore. So moving towards the shift now, one of the biggest changes in this current pandemic is the move towards real-time demand analysis. As I think Philip was saying, not every 6 hours or 4 hours. When I say real-time, I'm talking about all the different demand points that affect our demand in our property. I'm talking about the hotel. No matter how good your spreadsheet might be, it's not good enough to be able to just enter in data from your night audit reports and then get your rate shopping data and other information to try and populate a spreadsheet. That's finished now, and I want to highlight that it's not really a luxury that we're talking about in terms of moving to real-time pricing. It's the minimum. It's the minimum because, as I said earlier, hotels are trying to reduce their operating costs as much as possible. So we're working in an environment where there are less people having to do more, and those people need to operate more efficiently. So in a lot of ways, the revenue management function, I believe today, has a much higher priority than what it used to. So I think a lot of hotel businesses will recognize the opportunity to say, right, okay, we've been saving costs as much as we can. Who's typing in these reservations every time the booking comes in? You know, all these kinds of areas where they try to really reduce costs. Now the opportunity is there for the hotels to invest in automation and tools, maybe even invest in outsourcing the revenue management function. I'm not assuming that every hotel has a revenue manager or every hotel needs to have one. If the hotel can really operate as a truly efficient hospitality business, there's no reason why the RM function can't be outsourced, because for sure that technology consultant or the RM consultant will have their own tools and way to operate, and that may be the best option. So I want to highlight that we recognize that no hotels are exactly the same or operate in the same way, but we've certainly shifted now in this pandemic period towards a high priority on real-time demand analysis and having to work more efficiently.
Awesome, Erik. I'm so sorry, I wasn't you guys, sorry. Fernando, you want to set up? Go ahead, please.
Yes, I think regardless, I mean, of the operational cost or capital expenses and cash flow, which is something that we have learned that the money is not at any time there. So that's very important. Of course, the health and the safety, which is coming, I think, for stay forever. And I think, I mean, from the revenue management thing, let me just share our experience, you know, in the last 6 months or even more, 9 months. What we have seen, I mean, on the hotel side that have had better success, I mean, success in brackets, because the situation is what we know. You know, it's, I mean, we have seen that the hotels that have, let's say, solved better the crisis are the ones with online strategy. I mean, what I mean is online strategy as a whole. I mean, it could be direct or indirect. Even I was sharing with one customer that they start doing, you know, some Instagram, and he's having between 6 to 8%, let's say, reservation only from Instagram. And this is to enhance, you know, the relationship with their customers, you know, because the hotels that have CRM or they have loyalty strategy, I mean, they have placed, you know, their strategies on that, you know, on their near customers, you know, because at the end, as we cannot travel from one city to the other or even one country to the other, I mean, they have placed strategies in order to capture, you know, the customers that they have near to them. So companies that have CRM strategy, customer communication strategy, I mean, we have seen that they have solved, let's say, better this crisis. And the second one is the online strategy. I mean, we have seen that there is more online, let's say, I'm going to simplify, more online than offline, let's say, reservations. But you can see that, I mean, we have customers from 0 to 60%, you know, online bookings. And the ones that have a strategy on the online, they have solved this better in terms of connectivity. And I think that Philip said it's not online by online. What I'm expecting from the channel, this online channel with this meta search, with my website, etc. So the ones that have that very clear, I mean, have had the, let's say, of course, better success in brackets, because the success is not there from our side. Even that, I know that Erik, I mean, of course, we have customers all over the world, and the crisis didn't hit at the same level everywhere, you know. But I'm talking more for Europe.
And I'll let you just set a point here that is very important that Fernando Cuestas said. For example, Instagram and everything. For revenue managers, the first thing that we need to understand when we start doing publicity or doing anything on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, it doesn't matter. What we'll need is to understand what kind of public you have on Facebook, what kind of public will buy you on Instagram, what kind of public will go from LinkedIn. So that means for direct sales and using your revenue management, what we'll need is to set a strategy, because you can see, okay, from Facebook, I saw that most of the people that's come there go from the weekend and they take the lowest price or the lowest room that they have. The people that come from Instagram, it's middle scale. Then that come from LinkedIn, it's high scale. So you need to understand that, and you need to do pricing, and every time your marketing team do anything concerning posts to invite people first, you need to have a link not for your website. You need to go directly for that promotion. That's the first thing. And the second point, you need to understand for each one comes each person. When you understand that, the revenue will increase. And then you can choose how you sell, how the package you can build also on the revenue model. That's the whole thing I want to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is what I call, the magic of the CRM, because first you need to know what is your product and your service and how you match this with the customer that you want, so
Correct.
the segment that you want. And this creates a virtuous cycle, because those customers, they give you feedback, they make that your product or service is better, or depending what, maybe you want to have a better service or better product, but maybe you don't, but that, matches better, the product and the service with your customer. Yeah.
Just want to add something
Fully
too to what Vinicius said and Fernando said as well about the social media. It is also important, I think, to understand, the hotels understand that, okay, you invest so much in posting or advertising in social media, but if you don't have anyone to give them service or some tool to actually do the selling, then it's even worse, because I see some hotels that invest so much in advertising and put Instagram efforts and all that, but then the person goes there on the Instagram and try to talk to the hotel, no answer, nothing, and then it's a double loss, I think. So I think it's important always to have revenue, like you all guys were saying before, revenue, marketing, it's all have to come together. Otherwise, it won't work, I think. That's all.
Thank you, Paula. So guys, we're a little late. I will rush a little bit for now with Paula. Maybe we don't have too much interactions, but the good thing that we have more than 15 questions for the public. So we need to rush a little bit. We have very technical questions, and a lot of them. So Paula will go straight for the next one.
Yeah.
And then we will start the second round to accelerate, and we have at least half an hour to answer all our public, because there's a lot of good questions there, and all the questions, all of you guys. So we'll need to rush a little bit. I'm so sorry for that, but let's go. Paula, it's your turn. Please go ahead.
It's a good problem to have, Vinicius, that we have a lot of interactions. So,
yeah,
okay.
Of course, it's a good problem.
Yeah, next question goes to Fernando Cuestas then. Fernando, in the current climate, how should hoteliers set prices and monitor them, particularly versus their competitive set? And I'm gonna ask again, just so everybody understands it. In the current climate, how should hoteliers set prices and monitor them, particularly versus their competitive set? Go ahead, Fernando.
Yeah, I think, well, to set prices, I mean, there are many drivers, that's depending on each hotel. I mean, you can have a driver which is the demand, the location, the seasonality, the star rating, the amenities, the value that you provide to your product and services. So, I mean, you need to look for the drivers. What is clear is what I was saying. I mean, first, you need to know what is your competitive scenario, and what is the price that matches your value, and of course, that's depending, of course, there are strategies that is customer strategy, it could be competition strategy, it would be customer strategy. So that depends on the strategy of each hotel, but the most important thing is what I was referring about the data, at least today, we have the data to compare ourselves. I can compare myself with the hotels that I have in 1 kilometer from my hotel, or even in a city, and I can see what I was seeing, the rear view, but I can see what is happening in the past. So if I have, I don't know, a big group, and I know my availability, and I know my price, and the price and availability of my competitors, I can have a strategy for this group. So the good thing is this is measured, is the past, and we can see what is happening in the front. So I think this is of course, you need to have your price strategy, but then that will depend, what is happening, and then you need to manage in a day-to-day basis. I'm a fan of value per price, not on competing on price. I think that it's very important what is the value of your product and service, and to put the price which is fair for that product and price, regardless even of the rest. But the point is that there should be also a strategy behind if you want those customers to come back, or just want to have the transaction and that's it and forget about them. So that depends on many things, but the most important thing is that we have data today from the past and what is happening in the future to place your strategy in a day-to-day basis. Even what I repeat, I'm a fan of value, per product price, not a pricing. Let's say what we have seen even in the past 6 months in general. I'm talking in general in Europe, that the prices. I mean, I think from April to July, in general, the price was reduced by 25%. And what I have seen in the past, I would say since September, is that the prices are pretty similar to previous year.
Yeah. Wait,
So the
anyone wants
prices
to
are
add?
getting into the last year, let's say, trend.
Okay. Well, thank you, Fernando. Anyone would like to add something to what Fernando just said here about prices against value or price strategy?
We can talk about 5 hours,
Yeah.
right? About pricing strategies.
Just quickly, Damiano.
But I think what Fernando said is absolutely true, and I think something that is already from the past. So you need to price by value. So whatever you do as well from a marketing perspective or digital marketing, you just need to always attach a price to it. So, and that's why the combination, we just go back into what we said before. The combination of the disciplines, if you wish, they all come into a price at a certain point. And I can add you more. So if you just think about reputation management, the correlation between RevPAR or RGI, into reputation management is still to be discovered. But we know that, if you just do a great job in services, and you need to price it correctly. So price is not necessarily, the only testing factor, so being best in price, but you need to attach the value to it. And still, we have a lot of discussion with hoteliers around that, because we always care about, pricing or being a leader in pricing, for example, but we need to value what we sell, and that's absolutely key.
Yeah. That's a great, especially now before Black Friday, that we see a lot of crazy sales. And one thing I think hotels should also always have in mind, the cost, because if you just compare with your competitor, you don't know how much it costs to them a room and how much it costs for you a room. So just simply comparing, I think you may not fair. But I think Vinicius will go to the next question. Vinicius.
No, you go, Paula. You're doing a better job than myself. So go ahead.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure about that, Vinicius, but thank you for the trust. Okay, so our next question will be to Erik Munoz, and it is: what are the biggest opportunities in? No, sorry, I think I
No,
sorry.
Damiano.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Damiano.
Yes, so sorry, Damiano.
Don't worry.
Excuse me. Okay,
Your
so next one is for Damiano.
life happens. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot do
No
over.
problem.
Damiano, so the next question is to you. Why, despite COVID-19, is it still pivotal to collect, analyze data in order to set your pricing strategy? And I'm going to say it again. So why, despite COVID-19, is it still pivotal to collect, analyze data in order to set your pricing strategy?
Yeah, I think it's really linked into what we were discussing earlier, right? So I think the discussion about data, we are all here to discuss data, and I think there are many questions around the relevancy of data and revenue management today because of the pandemic. So questions like do we still need to revenue manage if there is no or little revenue? What to do if historical data become useless, and do not support future decision, for example. So what to forecast in the future is so uncertain. So essentially, what about the forecast accuracy, for example? Yeah. So what if there is no demand, to revenue manage? I think there's a lot of questions around it, and I saw a lot of articles around it. However, I always answer to these people, that the facts are that revenue management and data analytics and data in general would be vital for the recovery, of your properties, or to the surviving of your properties. And and during these times of uncertainty, you always should optimize price, make informed decision with confidence, operate efficiently, maintain competitive advantage. We're talking about the competitors. So I'm inviting hotels to review their competitive sets from scratch, because the pandemic really caused a lot of an earthquake, if you as well, in the competitive landscape. Yeah. So in a time of crisis, it's easy to only consider the short term. It's very easy, but predictive analytics models are forecasting recovery around 18 plus months, or you're already in a recovery phase. How do you maximize now pricing? How do you maximize your demand? And when demand will bounce back, what we're going to do? So we're discussing about not having historical data, but we will collecting data again, and build the history again for the next year. So I'm very surprised sometimes to keep hearing and seeing these questions. And emotions are out now, so that's the point. So I think there's a lot of emotions involved in what we're doing today, and we should actually be driven by data, right? In a certain level. So, but what to me is pivotal in all this is the quality of data. So I think we have data enough everywhere now. So, however, how do we determine what are the data that are relevant to us and to our hotels? So how do we take the noise out of this data, right, and make it relevant to us? And don't forget, linking to what we were discussing before, technology and hotels. I believe that only 16% worldwide, from the skip research of last year around the landscape of revenue management, only 16% worldwide are really, having some revenue management technology, linked into their activity. So this is really tiny. So that means that there's a lot to do and a lot to invest in technology. Doing more with less. You're going to start with technology. So again, to come back into the point that people are just thinking that data are not relevant because of what's happening. I think I invite all these people to think about the future and say, what happens in a year's time when the system will be back, when probably business is back, or maybe in some areas where business is already back? How do you manage all this data, the guest journey? We were discussing earlier with digital marketing too. You start collecting data from all the journey of the guest, pre-arrival, during the stay, after they left. So it's so important really just to have the right data and just analyze the data going forward.
I think you have a really good point there, Damiano. Well, actually two. One is that we get too emotional with what we are having, and I think people are a little bit stressed, like, oh, I cannot not rely on data because it's a new time, and then people actually freak out a little bit. So I think it's important to keep rational and analyze, like you were saying. And again, the other points that I think you did great. It's like maybe you don't have the data to compare, but you are collecting data now. People that are visiting your site, people that are almost booking, but people that are reaching to your hotel in any way. So I think this is also important to keep in mind. Anyone else would like to share one opinion?
Yes, I would like to add what Damiano Zennaro just said. Is that for revenue managers, we cannot rely with the old data that we have from last year, because normally we can, but we have a lot of data coming from the future. We have the data on how the behavior of our client, how he's doing the reservations, the period of times. We saw that when we were in lockdown in Europe, for example, you have a lot of research for 90 days in the future. When we start open up, you have last minute reservations. After 30 days, we saw that the last minute reservations just goes down, and then we start seeing 15 days, 25 days, and now we are locked down again. So based on that, we need to think of the future. And we have a few questions that I was reading right now, but it's concerning this that we're going to answer to the attendants. But you have tools. And the other thing, for example, as we are managing on the radio or 400 kilometers from where your hotel are, that's the most important thing. What you can do is check your PMS, check from each part of those clients that's near. If you have clients on that radio of geolocalization that you can impact. So you have all that data in the past that you can use right now, trying to get those clients back because they're near to you. And for those that's far away, you can use strategies for future sales, for example. It's just a tip and a hint for the hoteliers that are listening to us. So we can go to the second round of questions. Somebody, Erik, do you like to set a point here to add something?
Yeah, just very, very briefly, a couple of people have mentioned these situations in the past. I just want to highlight it, which is we can go really deep and very, very detailed about what systems are there and what integration possibilities are there and what data points should be looked at for sure. And that's something that is definitely very interesting and important. However, what Damiano said earlier, I think in a previous comment, is about the service delivery, the operations at your property. You can have the best tech, you can have everything optimized and integrated, and then at that zero moment of truth, let's say when a guest arrives at the desk, they're so happy, they've picked your hotel, maybe they booked directly, maybe they booked via OTA, it doesn't matter. And then whoever's there checking them in is using whatever PMS, and the mouse is a little bit tricky for them to operate, and they ask them to check in, and they're not even looking at the guest, just following the mouse and clicking here and tap, tap, click, tap, tap, click. Maybe they're using a great PMS and they haven't been trained properly, but I really get frustrated every single time I see things like that, which is avoidable. Like, just greet the guest, check them in. I remember times way, way back where the system was down for some reason. Yeah, it might be off for 4 hours. You had to operate with manual reports. That wasn't a big deal. Give the guest the card if you're still using cards. Make them fill in the card, confirm the payment details, give them a nice warm welcome, show them the way, what time's breakfast, etc., and then later update the screen or whatever you have to do. And that's just one example. Clearly, it's happened to me many, many times in the past, and I've just bitten my tongue and shrugged my shoulders as like, well, you know, it's just so avoidable. And I just wanted to highlight that as an example of, no matter how nerdy we might be talking right now in terms of technology and data points, all of that means nothing if you don't have a service culture. What I mean by that is to consistently deliver great service. Not just the GM comes behind the front desk and says, the owner of a travel agency is coming in sometime in the next 2 hours, which means for the next 2 hours, be super efficient, be absolutely perfect in everything you're doing. Then after that, forget it, whatever, back to normal business. That shouldn't be the situation, right? Anyway, rant over.
No, that's a good point that you said. I mean, another thing that, for example, that hotels do is when they go to receptionists or receptionists get a call, for example. Till today, in 2020, we can see chains, really chains, big, huge chains that you call the reception and says, look, go to booking.com and do a reservation. They don't even tell them, go to my website. So also to just add what Erik says, the services should be great all the time, but also the sales part and training your team all the time to get the best experience and you to get the best revenue. If you don't spend time and resources and have a team working at least 90% perfect, we don't need to be 100, but 90% perfect, and a few points, that will increase. Another thing, what we go to hotels, and we saw that in a lot of receptions, you see, I like 9 points in booking, I have an 8.7 and Trivago. I said, where is that you're telling that you have your program of hoteliization? Where you simply buy to directly on my website and you get a discount that you don't even will find in any other part. Hoteliers don't do that. You can use that. It's good to have all those rewards. It's awesome, but put them on the wall, on the reception. Do something to get value for your hotel, for your chain, and tell to the client, look, next time, buy directly to myself. And if you are a real VIP client, that even if the first time, I'm going to give you the better discount, the better pricing, all the time directly to myself. And right now we have also for agencies, travel agencies all over the world, you're getting back and few of them directly. And you can reduce the commission that you pay. So there's a lot of little things that can be applied that change everything, And most of the time, hoteliers don't show that. So that's why we create Travel Tech, to bring not only knowledge, but also to open their eyes and say, look, if you do this, you're going to have a different, you're really going to have different results. And that is impact directly to you. You're going to have more revenue. That's all. I'm sorry. Paula, it's all. Let's go to the second round of questions. I don't know if Fernando or Philip want to add something here. Please go ahead. If not, we go to the second round of questions.
Okay, so
No,
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
it's very
then.
good what you
Oh,
said,
sorry.
Vinny.
Sorry, Fernando, go.
No, I think it's
Sorry.
very good what you're saying. I mean, it's coming back to the Paula's question at the beginning. I mean, let's leave the technology, you know, to process the data, to give you access to all the channels, and then you choose which the channel that you want, or is more profitable, or it provides you more volume. Let the technology to help you in the efficiency, and let's put the human on the service side, you know, which is where the value added is, you know, between the human interaction, in the terms that Erik was saying, in fact. So yeah,
awesome.
that's it.
Thank you,
And just one
Fernando.
more thing on the data.
Yes.
On the data, what I was saying on looking the data, this is a reality. It's nothing that because sometimes we talk even among ourselves, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. I mean, what I was referring to data is something that is there. I mean, the point is that we need to use it, to use it, because sometimes we don't even use it. I mean, and sometimes you have it on your table, you have it on the screen, and you don't use it. And that's very important. I mean, for the revenue manager is key in order to set, you know, some facts on how to place your strategies.
Awesome.
Okay, so next question goes to Erik. Erik, I was so looking forward to talk to you that I actually said wrong the last question, but now it's your question here. And I have to say, Erik, I'm guilty. When I was in the hotel front desk, I did that to look for my computer because it was a rush time. And like I said in the beginning, I think with Philip, I think the hotels are not training well enough how to use the technology. So sorry, I've been there and I've done that. But anyway, next question, Erik. What are the biggest opportunities in revenue management for hoteliers to focus on today? So I'm going to read again. What are the biggest opportunities in revenue management for hoteliers to focus on today? Please go ahead, Erik.
Yeah, and I want to just reiterate what you said just now. I'm not picking on whoever it was doing this. It's a training issue, 100% training issue. And yeah, unfortunately, like I said earlier, hotels have to do more and more and more with less and less and less people and resources. So, like I said, I didn't realize how good my experience was at the Hilton chain until I went somewhere else that wasn't a big branded chain, didn't have policies and procedures already very precisely documented, blah, blah, blah. So no, I 100% don't blame you. I blame your trainer.
No. It is a big difference to work in a small hotel in Hilton for sure. But sorry. Yeah.
So, look, I think the big opportunities are a couple I already mentioned before in terms of the increased priority on technology, because no one can accurately and confidently answer the question of when will business come back? When will things pick up? The answer is not, well, look at the news to see which countries' borders are open or closed, or we have a travel bubble with these two countries. And it's literally, and I know you guys already know this, but just to spell it out, it's literally changing every single day. I saw something about Singapore and Hong Kong are going to be a travel bubble last week. Yesterday, oh, that travel bubble no longer is happening. And so that is going to continue. Unfortunately, I think it will continue for well into another year. I wish it would improve quicker. But the nice thing is we see new vaccines that are 90% effective coming into the market soon, or finished testing. Fantastic. Fantastic for the consumer sentiment, because that really drives everything. You know, if the vaccines are available but no one trusts it, and still they don't take it and don't travel, well, and they don't travel, it doesn't really help us. So coming back to the prioritization of technology within the business. If you and Damien made the point perfectly, 19% or 15%, let's say 20% of hotels may have some kind of RM tool. That's 80% that don't. I'd love to speak about how to optimize your RM processes, but many hotels don't even have a RM solution. So at the very least, invest in an RM tool, but don't put the RM tool in and then having to manually update your prices into your channel manager or your CRS, or maybe into your PMS. When you start more effective forecasting and pricing and bookings start coming in, please don't put those into an email inbox for somebody to type in once they get back in the office. So as a minimum, you need to have those basic processes which have different systems tightly integrated. You know, that's the bare minimum. But where I think the opportunities are for the revenue manager to be a lot more strategic and thoughtful about what they do every day, rather than running around with, let's say, spinning plates. You know, you've got reputation management over here, have to reply to all the reviews. You've got your competitive pricing over here. That's only for the next 30 days. What about 90 days or 120 days? You've got the actual overall market demand, what's happening in the city. Whereas even with revenue managers who have some tools, I still see a lot of them spend at least the first hour, maybe more, in the morning, gathering data from different systems, typically reputation management, typically rate shopping. Maybe they have an RMS, maybe they're doing something in the PMS. So they're not going that next step towards fully integrating it. And it's not just so they can sit back and do nothing, but they can actually think about what's happening, plan and strategize on what to do. What is the data telling them? And involving your marketing person, marketing team, marketing services, in case you outsource this, because you know there was a time where a hotel would be looking at maybe investing in an RMS, and they may ask for a quote. And a lot of times this hotel had a situation, let's say, where they were never 100% full during the year. The most they achieved was maybe 70%, for whatever reason, their market, the kind of property they're in. Now, in a lot of cases, you'd say, well, you don't really have a revenue problem there. You've got a demand problem. Okay. Now, the RMS can give you insight into precisely where you need a lot more or less demand. And that's always been, let's say, the link that I think has been missing in a hotel business, whether it's a single hotel or a small chain or a large chain, is that that daily, if not weekly, communication between RM and marketing. Because marketing can really, well, their real focus is to generate demand. If there's no demand there, then they have a whole range of different ways of doing that. So and I'll give you a very, very simple example. We have data in the PMS, and it doesn't matter what PMS you're using, you'll have reservations in there, and the reservation will be for a guest that's maybe from 5 or 6 different main countries or cities that are coming to your hotel. But there's also, let's say, flight travel demand data, which shows us which countries or which cities are looking to travel into our destination. Wouldn't it be cool to see what guests we already have for the future, where they're from, compare that to where the travel demand is? Because if there's travel demand, let's say from the German market, but we have no guests currently from Germany, give that information to marketing, because there's demand there. People are looking to travel, but we don't have any reservations from there yet. That's just one example of a scenario that is happening today, like right now, that I'm sure no hotel is looking at, or let's say very few hotels are correlating PMS data with flight travel search data. But and those are typically areas that are managed by different people in the hotel. So it's always been the optimal workflow for revenue management and marketing to have that 360 dialogue. Yeah. And like, so in addition to the flight travel data, which I think is super important for a lot of cities, it's also understanding in your market, what are your, not just your comp set, but the actual cluster of properties in your destination. What are they experiencing in terms of demand? You know, talking about website and booking engine data primarily, because that's super interesting. I think Fernando and Amadeus, the old 360-degree product, Demand 360, that kind of data, but also applicable or available in other technologies, that's really valuable, particularly now. That kind of data is super valuable.
Oh, that's great, Erik. And I think you're talking about two kind of integrations. Integrations in the team, so they work together. Integration is the technical, the tool, the softwares, right? So it's two key integrations. Yes. Anyone wants to add to anything that Erik just said? Please go ahead. No. Vinicius, no, you don't have the sound. Vinicius, you're talking. Yeah.
Happens all the time. I'm so sorry we're live. We're doing a live show, so that happens. I don't say the word, but you know, that happens all the time. So I'm so sorry. So guys, let's move to the question that will go to Damiano Zennaro, Director of Global Hoteliers Services at Ideas Revenue. So Damiano, what are your key recommendations in regards to pricing strategy during and post-pandemic? I will repeat the question. What are your key recommendations in regards to pricing strategy during and post-pandemic? You have 5 minutes. Go ahead, it's all yours. Thank you.
I'm conscious about time as well. So what I would like just to kind of recap a bit, because it's all linked into what we discussed right from the beginning. So I think the the pricing strategy needs to be synergized, and I think that's the big point that I believe that everyone is agreeing on the on the panel. So essentially, we shouldn't avoid the mistake that we just did in the past. We always tend to work in silos, right? So and that's what's really happening, and it's very human. So there is nothing wrong with that. But I think the first brand, first hotel, independent, small, big, medium, that really understand that leadership is around synergizing and just getting all these pieces together will be the big winner. So I think my first recommendation around pricing strategy is making sure that they're all talking to each other. And I'm talking about, marketing, digital marketing in this sense. I mean, look at the social media piece that you were talking about, sales, but as well operations, because to go back to what Erik said as well, in my 20 years of experience, and I did work at hotels level as well. So there's the GM that is only looking at services, and they forgot completely under the technical piece and the pricing. And you got the revenue manager only thinking about pricing, thinking about how to value the service. Basically, the best way is in the middle somehow. Is the combination of the elements. So to me, the synergizing and putting the pieces together just to make a pricing strategy, an efficient pricing strategy, is my first recommendation. The second one is, of course, technology, how fit you are. So I think every single hotel should ask himself, right? So where am I with integration? Where am I with data? Where am I with systems, right? So there's always a way to optimize this. Systems are not that expensive anymore, really. It's more a question of culture. So just work around making yourself some questions. I always said, learn from the past, live in the present and prepare for the future. So if you just need to learn from the past and in the previous crisis, you already thought about, man, I should actually invest in technology because I'm really struggling, then you should have done already. And sometimes we just come to the next crisis and then, oh gosh, I forgot just to invest in my about to invest in my product. So to me, it's really understanding from the past, just making sure you just don't make the same mistake. The other point for a pricing strategy is really keep an eye on profits. And I think we covered this a couple of times. Sometimes I'm struggling myself. We're still talking about room revenue, which is fine. It should actually be already gone, right? So it's like, okay, we've done it, right? So it should be kind of history already. But unfortunately, we're still talking about room revenue as well. But we should really start looking into profit. And I think no better than today. And I told my experience as well. People are coming to me and just realizing, how expensive some transactions might actually be. Because before, when you're running 80, 90%, there was a lot of revenue coming in. Now, because there are less, reservation, less transactions, then suddenly you just realize, oh, that's a lot of cost attached to this. So how does it really come? So there is really the time now just to go granular and understanding much better what's happening. So when I'm talking about net ADR, when I'm talking about net RevPAR, when I talk about profitability of your business mix or optimal business mix, it's all about this one. So if you don't have the data, you cannot optimize by room type and length of stay, for example. So then you need the data to, to do that. But already starting understanding, how much impact, costs are having and cost of acquisition are having as well. I mean, that's a big one. Oops.
We're listening to you, Erik. You can move ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I just a failure, power failure, apparently. Are you still hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you still see me as well or no? Do you still see me?
Yeah.
Yes, we see you.
Perfect. Yeah, I had a power failure, so it just went off for a couple of seconds. So I was saying, if you just look as well at the profitabilizations by room type and length of stay, that's the additional data, but it doesn't need to be that far. You need to start somewhere. You need to start collecting this data as well in terms of profitability. This is more the strategic view, and I'm just going to close it very quickly with the tactical piece. The tactical piece is more around to being flexible. We see hotels, struggling with pricing strategy. I think you should actually think about one rate probably right now, very flexible rate. That's the bar rate, right? So forget the advanced purchase for probably the next couple of months or year, who knows. That's a revolution as well in setting pricing, but that's probably a tactical piece. The other one is to really reevaluate your comp set. And if you have an RMS, you should actually start understanding really how the comp set is impacting your pricing as well. So I would just go back and reevaluate your comp set as well. And then the last one we discussed already is adding value to your pricing. Please come out from only thinking that the room-only price is the only one that actually makes clients deciding booking your hotel. I think this is another mistake that we've done in the past. And think about your intermediation. So
now we are losing you. That's good enough.
Intermediation. So how costly is your pricing in that sense? So just make sure you price by value. Make sure you just bundle, maybe your packaging, maybe. Sorry, am I back?
Yes.
Can you hear
right
me?
now, yes. Yes.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was really adding my last part around the add value. So just making sure that you add value to your pricing and you come out from only this obsession of the price is deciding everything. So I just definitely that's definitely one of my last recommendations.
Thank you very much, Damiano. So let's go to the next question, as we are running out of the time and we have a lot of questions to answer. Paula?
Yes, the next question goes to Fernando. Fernando, how can CRMs influence a hotelier's success, and what impact can loyalty programs have on driving revenue? So I'm going to read again. How can CRMs influence a hotelier's success, and what impact can loyalty programs have on driving revenue? Please go ahead, Fernando.
Okay, thank you, Paula. Maybe let me put it in simple words. Well, let's say that the CRM probably is the highest technological product in demand, because very simple reason, it's connecting your product and services with your customers. That's it. So this allows you to better know your customers and your leads, and these are helping you to better know your product and your services. So it's quite important, because as I was saying maybe at the beginning, this is a virtuous cycle. I mean, the customers help you to understand your product. This connects your product and services with your customers and leads. And to tell you the truth, is highly effective. In terms of, I would say, loyalty, the loyalty programs of the CRM, and I will know, by the adoption of the big brands, but now what we see is a clear trend that even the small hotels and the unique properties, they are moving to that direction, because they want to know the customers, and even in loyalty programs, it's not only about points. I mean, we can see experiences of small hotels that they provide flexibility, they provide access to prices, they have, let's say, a different kind of getting that loyalty, no? And they recognize that it's very important to know that your customer is coming back to your premises. So what we have seen is highly effective. I mean, the interaction with customers and this is key for your future, regardless if they come from direct channel or indirect channel. But I think every customer is, I always say, is gold, and we need to keep that gold and we need to make it shine. And it depends on us, you know, how to make it shine. Sometimes we think that the customers, I mean, they will not come back, but maybe they come back. And then if they come back, if they do not come back, I mean, they are the first ambassadors, you know, to her friends or family or even companies or corporations to make that other one comes. It's not the same customer that needs to come to the hotel. So this is quite, I think there is a huge trend, you know, on getting CRM and loyalty programs in every single kind of hotel in order to have those customers or friends of customer back. And this is one of the ways that we help our customers as well. We have seen now in this Black Friday that is coming, I think, this week, no? Or sometimes we can see some of our customers that they test, you know, with the customer base first, and they provide the first value to them, and then they provide to the rest of the community, you know. But I think it's quite important, and this is the virtuous cycle of knowing better your product, improving your services, and to place where do you want to be. So that's what I can say. But about the clear trend, which is a reality, and then the customer engagement is key in every single business. It's not only in ours, but it's also airlines, it's also the retailers, etc. And this is something that the human makes the difference. I mean, the technology, they only allows you, you know, to connect, but the human is the one who makes the difference, because the human is the one who is deciding the promotion, is the one to connect this customer via WhatsApp or via an email or any other way. So that's where the beauty is, you know, in order to improve and to continuously improve your operations and your relationship with your customers and also with your team.
Awesome, Fernando. I just want to add something. It's more about marketing. One good strategy for the future now, we have WhatsApp, we have Telegram. Will be good if, for example, hoteliers will create their own channel to communicate with customers and request them to access that channel. We don't set comments, but that will be another key where you can provide direct sales, direct links, because normally the person that will join your Telegram channel or your WhatsApp channel will be the person that already passed through your hotel. So it's a finalized client. And if it's not, you can send over and over, not every day. Please don't do that. Don't do that every day.
Vinicius, I think this is quite important, and it's a reality, but that's
right.
part of the CRM. You need to know which is the channel or how you want, I mean, the customer wants you to contact him or contact him, you know. It could be a WhatsApp, it could be a Telegram, it could be an email, it could be a call, it could be any other way. But the beauty is that the CRM allows you, you know, to use all the channels, all the communication channels.
Erik, I saw that you're like to set up a point. I'm looking to you. I'm seeing how your behavior. I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
How did you know? That was very spooky.
Yeah, I always look to everybody. I take everybody. All of the persons express themselves with the body. I always look at them.
Very good. Yeah. Just a couple of quick points. I'm 100% supportive of the importance of a CRM. 100%, no argument. The thing I wanted to highlight to everybody is that you could ask 10 different hotels, or you could ask 10 different regular businesses in different industries and ask the question, what is a CRM? Define a CRM, and you will get 10 different answers, because a CRM can be a huge suite of things or very specific, or people need certain elements of a CRM, like the marketing stuff. So I think the other challenge for hospitality is the PMS system contains so much CRM data. Really, every single PMS should have a little CRM module. That's just my opinion. But they don't. They don't. They have all the data. So, but you know what? They also have all the data that a channel manager needs. Not many PMSs also do their very own channel managers. So in hospitality, there are specialist CRM systems. I'm sure all of them are fantastic. I haven't studied them very closely, but I just wanted to point out a few of the complexities that are just, it's just how it is. These complexities also apply to other businesses, not just hotels.
I agree, Erik. I think that's a very good point. In fact, what we're trying to do, what we're doing is that, the CRM, it could be used in different ways, you know, and I'm not going to describe, but for me, it's the interaction between the customer or the lead and your product and service. That's the connection. The point is that the need of a simple hotel, let's say, is more basic than a big chain. You know, in a big chain that you want to have, for example, a loyalty program for the 1,000 hotels is different, you know, from a simple and unique property that they need, for example, just communication in order to provide promotions, in order to provide the special fares, in order to provide your loyalty, to communicate your loyalty program and to manage the loyalty program. But what we have done is to give in a modular approach the different functionalities depending on your needs. So which are your needs, and depending on the, I can give you from 0 to 100%. And that's a good point, because and you were saying this before, because maybe in the hotel there's only 1% or 2% that they have to do everything. So, but let's use the technology to simplify their life, because with 1, 2, or 3 functionalities, that's enough for some kind of hotel. They don't need to go to 70 functionalities, you know, because they don't have even the team to manage those.
Damiano, go ahead. I can see here also one thing.
And looking at Fernando, that's looking into the attribute-based pricing, right? So or selling via attributes, because I'm looking at Amadeus, and we all know how busy they are for a long time. And I was working for IG in the old days, and we're still discussing the ABS already in the long term. So if you just go into the CRM, you just start personalizing. Well, I think we never discussed this customization of every single offer, right? So that's definitely the future too. So we're adding another element there that to me is exciting. And I'm not saying that you just need to price your pillow, right? So on top of, I'm talking about other attributes that you can actually start selling. It's all there in the cloud. We know that. It's we're discussing that, but I think there's another point where it's linked to the CRM and linked into offer the right product as well to the right customer, if you wish, but really even more granular than it was before with revenue management.
Awesome. Philip, you want to add something? If not, we go to the last question, and then we interact with the public. We have a lot of questions.
The good thing is that we all think the same way, right? And we all know what the industry needs, and then I guess now we're getting momentum, right? And putting all these changes into place, and technology is there to help it. So, what the rest of the panelists have said resonates with me too, right? So that per person pricing, getting that data through your even customer data platforms are becoming now a thing in the hospitality industry, right? Where they collect the behavioral data of a particular customer, and that's what you need to get down to. Those are the details that you require.
Awesome. Paula, go ahead with the last question. It's all yours.
Okay, and the last question is to Philip. So Philip, the question is, what data should revenue managers be looking at today to build a forecast and capture returning demand? So I'm going to ask again, what data should revenue managers be looking at today to build a forecast and capture returning demand? So go ahead, Philip.
So it's like we're going full circle.
Yeah.
Back
that's true. but you changed channel. You are in a different place.
I changed my
You have
background
to see
because
the
Yeah.
man 360 from Amadeus.
I was going to buy everyone a glass of wine after this. So
Yeah, I'm looking
Exactly.
to
We're
you.
coming
I'm
to you,
looking
Philip.
I'm ready to take
For
a
a
wine
glass of wine.
and open up. I'm like a little bit jealous of you. I see a lot of wine.
Exactly.
So I want one. If you can pass me the screen, I want a glass of wine. Be cool. No, go ahead, man.
Happy hour will be at Philip's. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you were asking about what data revenue managers should be looking at for the forecasting and demand that they want to capture in the future. Again, I mean, it will be a lot of stuff I'm going to say is probably going to be a repeat of what was discussed to date. And I mean, no doubt we need to have access to rich, reliable, forward-looking data. Right? So COVID has exposed the traditional way of how there's a reference to historical data. So going forward, machine learning will be used a lot more to understand historical patterns to some extent, right? Providing us with a bit of a basis, but it is the real-time, present, and forward-looking data and information that we really need to be placing our focus on. I also want to say here at this juncture, you know, the approach to forecasting is an interesting one. This resonates with me as I think back to my revenue management days. But it's changed significantly because in this day and age, we know a forecast will inevitably change, right? It will not stay the same. And again, I know that there's times when we look at forecast accuracy, we get measured against it 1, 2, or 3 months out, and sometimes even we had our KPIs adjusted to it. But pricing should not be determined by the forecast. The forecast is a result of the price that has been set in the market, right? And the reaction to it. So pricing should be based on capturing the most amount of demand and revenue to maximize the profitability. And look, and that was, you know, we've been talking about this for many, many years. So when it comes to building a forecast, the focus is on the top of funnel type data, you know, such as, you know, I think Erik mentioned this, you know, the travel search patterns, flight bookings. And I mean, obviously I don't work for OTA Insight, but they have a product called Market Insight, which is an incredible product that takes a lot of rich data into consideration, including this flight information, booking data across your competitive set. And that will make the hotels more powerful in putting together a strong forecast, an accurate forecast, right? So hotels need to get an understanding of who's searching. You know, what are they searching? What start date? What stay dates? And then, you know, if you think ahead, like as I mentioned before, there's going to come a point where these customer data platforms are going to be playing an increasingly important role, right? They'll become more of a key towards in pricing decisions as they fully understand the guests, right? And we can price towards that per guest mentality. Now, for returning demand, I can only echo what's been said also by many industry colleagues, even before this panel discussion over the last few months. Do not discount, focus on value, right? And most importantly, build confidence and highlights that you're providing a secure and safe environment in times of COVID. You know, capture demand that is in your local markets, you know, potentially driving distance, considering that in many instances we can't or we are highly discouraged to fly. And, you know, people are still hunting for experiences, right? I mean, they're hunting to get away out of their, I guess, their little cocoon. So in addition to re-highlighting that you're offering the possibility of a safe stay, partner with your local providers in the community, you know, which most, if not all, of the OTA partners will struggle to really get in touch with, because then not only will you be supporting your immediate surroundings, but you're also providing unique experiences to your guests.
Awesome. Great, Philip. Guys, we're hitting our timing, but we have a lot of questions here. So I will start. Somebody wants to make a few and quick point up to Philip comment, or I can go ahead with the questions of the public. I'm up to you guys. Can I move forward? Let's move. So the first question here is from Alexander Pereira. He requests us a very interesting question that I have no idea, so the professionals now will answer us. He says, hey guys, do you see the hospitality industry ready to deep dive in F&B revenue management? If so, how are the RMS ideas at Atomize, Libra, Amadeus developing their systems to step up to this level? I will do the question again. Hi guys, do you see the hospitality industry ready to deep dive in F&B revenue management? If so, how are the RMS, all of you, developing their systems to step up this level? This is new for me, so who will start and who will answer this question? Please go ahead.
I'll start. We're not doing anything, but I do believe that it's an untapped area. The challenges there, I think, are even more than a typical hotel challenge. When I say a hotel challenge, it's fragmentation of data and connectivity in a hotel. You don't connect to the PMS, that's a pretty big obstacle for an RMS. Not impossible, but it's a big obstacle. Now, in a restaurant and a bar, fragmentation, I would imagine, is even bigger with different point of sale systems, etc. But yeah, we're not working on it currently. Doesn't mean we won't in the future. But I think it's a big area that can be optimized.
Awesome. Philip, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of my first positions in Bangkok was with a hotel that had 28 meeting rooms and 2 grand ballrooms and 8 dining venues, and I thought I could go in there and do revenue management. You know, I came with my spreadsheets calculating revenue per available square meter, revenue per available seat hour. And when it goes back to actually what Paula was asking me previously, that education, you know, I mean, explaining to somebody who's in F&B, you know, the importance of maximizing your revenue engineering, it's coming. People are understanding and appreciating this more and more. And we need to continue as hospitality leaders. We need to continue pushing on that re-education front. On the technology front, and this is what's really exciting. I'll speak a little bit to Atomize. Is that, you know, Atomize is making it their mission, or has made it their mission to look at, you know, industries where there's perishable inventory, where there's time variable demand. That's what they want to price towards, and that's also, of course, where F&B revenue management, banqueting revenue management, that also comes into play. And we need access to that, to good data, in order to execute on those functions.
Awesome. Zennaro?
Yeah, I think Ideas is probably slightly more advanced on that, because we're focusing on F&B already for some years, right? So I don't know if you've seen, but it has been launched, the RAP Planet ITB, virtual ITB this year. So which is really a tool that wants to you know, combine data from different sources and revenue streams. And of course, the first revenue stream that you think about is basically F&B. Now, having said that, F&B revenue management is different, even though the concept is the same as, you know, Philip said, you know, ref pass or seat per hour. So I mean, you know, it's the old concept somehow, but the data points are really many, many more. So I'm now thinking about, you know, engineering of menus. I mean, to me is, you know, and we see some results, I think, already in Japan or other countries, but the problem is the fixed price as well of menus, right? So it's you know, got the menu, you got the price there, and so how do you juggle? So how do you manage, you know, a dynamic pricing into F&B? And I think, to me, I'm really passionate about, because it is incredible if you think about. So when do you just sell your steak? You know, at the most it's between 6 and 7 is on Fridays and Tuesdays. So, but with that flexibility is absolutely not there yet. But I see that coming, because there's so much you can play around. You know, and when you combine with the room, or you combine with the profile of your guest, you just start setting, you know, this total revenue management and top. We're still far from there, but I think that should be a kind of a ultimate, you know, objective for a revenue manager as such. So I think it's very exciting to me. But yeah, it's far, but you need to start somewhere, and that's the point. So we're developing this, you know, tool slowly, but it is there already. So we keep fingers crossed that we can actually get an acceleration with this, you know, pandemic as well.
Awesome, Damiano. Fernando Cuestas, do you like to say something about that?
Well, yes, in our side, I mean, we're focused mainly on the hotel side, you know, in order to maximize, you know, the revenues, including probably we have the not only for the B2C, also for the B2B, in an open, secure, and open, secure, and in cloud technology. That's quite important for the future, and in a modular approach, as I was describing before, to maximize revenues for the hotel. On the operational side, we're focused in 2 areas, mainly, you know, on the cleaning of the hotel and maintenance of the hotel, which we have probably the leader in terms of app, you know, for hotels. This is for big hotels. And then for sales and catering, I mean, we help the big chains, but we're focused on getting let's say an efficient cost for those two areas, not for food and beverage yet. I mean, let's try to close the circle, you know, into the hotels. I mean, our focus is to have fans in every single hotel, and to have any hotel in the world to use Amadeus technology only for the reservations and the operational side, and then food and beverages will come after that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So we have Alex Moro that's saying amazing panel, great people talking today, so it's a big thank you to all of us. Paula, if you want, you can go to the Claudia Ferrero question. You can.
So sorry, Vinicius, I cannot see the questions.
I
Maybe
cannot,
I'm
it's only myself. I'm so sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. I have no idea why.
problem.
So I will follow up. So I will do it myself.
ahead. Go ahead.
You need to listen to my voice, guys. I'm sorry. It's better to listen to your joyous voice. That's all I have. But at the end, it needs to be myself.
Your
So
voice
let's
is
go.
great, Vinicius. Go.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. Let's go then. We have a question from Claudia Ferrero. So she asked, are Atomize, Libra, Ideas, Amadeus suitable for small independent hotels that have no revenue managers for budget reasons? Will they take advantage of optimization anyway or not? So basically the question is, an independent hotel, small hotel, they can use the tools of Atomize, Libra, Ideas, and Amadeus, even if they don't have a revenue manager. And will they take advantage of optimization anyway or not? So who starts? I know everybody here want to ask this. Go ahead.
I think I can answer for everyone saying yes. And obviously everyone will provide more detail. The one area where we don't focus on is a small property, let's say with under 20 rooms. If they've got 10 rooms or 8 rooms, probably not for us. Not because of its usability, it's just it's not a segment of the hotel market that we focus on. But yeah, in terms of usability, yeah, absolutely. I think our founders had invested a lot of time with about 100 different hoteliers to understand what they do in their daily process. But notice I'm saying hoteliers. I'm not saying revenue managers. I think if you were to interview 100 revenue managers, they'll just share with you anything they remember from other systems they've used or they were told to use. But with hoteliers who have responsibility for pricing, when you do a deep analysis, you do get to understand not just what data points are important, but the actual workflow and the process. And I think, like I said before, I've worked with a lot of different RMS systems, but with Libra, it's very, very clear that the actual workflow follows the path of a hotelier who needs to have a lot of information, doesn't have too much time, and may or may not want to know more about a certain recommendation or a certain day in the future. So it's a super good question. I think it used to be a fair comment that this system is only for big hotels and chains. This system is only for small. I think things have changed, but like I said before, a lot of our customers are not necessarily revenue managers. They work in the hotel. They're responsible for forecasting and pricing, and they need technology to help them in that area.
Awesome. Somebody else want to say something? I know everybody wants to say yes.
Just repeat.
The same.
Vinicius, I mean, in our site, I mean, we have most of the product or services that any hotel have. We don't have RMS, but we have open technology that can connect. We have PMS, we have CRS, we have, I'm not going to talk about that, but the good thing is that our technology is open, so we can connect to anybody. And then, of course, it's cloud-based, so this simplifies, the connectivity. And very important for these edges is secure. So this is what we're trying to do. So the answer is yes.
Awesome. Philip?
Yeah, no, 100% agree with Fernando and with Erik. again, to Erik's, one of Erik's earlier points about, that focus on service, right? If you have a sole proprietor, who's doing multiple things on property, the changing of the rates and the strategy, that should be something that should be the least of his or her worries, right? They should be able to trust a system and technology to make the right decisions for the business going forward, so they can focus on making sure that check-in is seamless, making sure that guest experience in the restaurant is the way that it should be. So definitely, and if you look at the number of properties that are below 100 rooms that exist in the world today, and there are many, this is definitely a market that should not be not looked at and disregarded.
If we look to Brazil, for example, Brazil has 38,000 hotels in entire Brazil. 70% of those is under 60 rooms. So it's a huge market. It's a huge market, but we have 70% of them is under 60 to 70 rooms. It's under 70% of 38,000 hotels. So Zennaro, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Very quick. I mean, I just want to say
Please.
that rather than the size is really around the culture again. So I think that any RMS fits, any hotels, even for, 20 rooms if you wish. It's more the question of how much do they embrace, the technology, and how much they embrace the, the change and having something automated. I think the biggest question is there. So after that, like asking me, I did work for a big brand for a long time. They were asking, should I just put a brand on top of my hotel or not? I mean, if you don't embrace, the concept and the vision of a brand, then leave it, right? Because if you want to keep doing your own stuff because you're smaller or fragmented market and you don't follow that, then don't take a brand on top, right? So that's the same for machines. You can actually get any machine, but if you don't believe that this is helping you, just leave it. So it's back into, again, your own perception and your opening to change. And we all know that with the change management curve, it's you start blaming others first when the change is, or you start blaming yourself, and then there's acceptance. And if you don't move on, then you're going to stick into that. And Italian market is also very fragmented, but that's probably the problem as well that we have in terms of pricing, and in terms of education, in terms of leadership. So, and pricing by value. So that's probably one of the most typical markets where OTAs are just king, right? So because there's a lack of understanding probably of other things. So back into really how big and open you are to embrace a change and believe in the change. Then if you have 20 rooms or 1,000 rooms, I think it's probably the same.
Awesome. So let's go to the next question. We'll still have 12 questions. So we'll have, I know we are 2 hours, we finished with the timing, but I have all the attendants that's coming here to watch us. We have more than 175 persons. Right now we're still with 100 persons watching us and still here because they want us to give an answer for them. So I will move forward. So this question is from Camila Larson. So it's a very, very good question. We saw that a lot of corporate hotels that's not so big, or maybe they're under 80 to 60 rooms, they're moving to short and long period. So the question is, do any of you have an experience with services, apartments, and apart hotels? If yes, how do you work with the pricing strategy of apartments compared to the hotel rooms, both short and long-term stay? I will repeat the question. Do any of you have experience with services, apartments and apart hotels? If yes, how do you work with the pricing strategy of apartments compared to the hotel rooms, both short and long-term stays? If somebody else, just go ahead.
I'm sure these guys have got some more points as well. So whether the serviced apartment or apart hotel is competing with regular hotels or not is one question. Okay, so does the apart hotel have studio rooms? That's one question, because a studio will absolutely compete with a typical hotel room, again, depending on the product. But if we're talking about an apart hotel, which has 1 BR, 2 BR, or 3 BR kind of products, then each of those room type categories will also have, let's say, a demand profile, different types of demand for different types of room types. And I'll use a very simple example. Pre-COVID, when school holidays appeared a lot of extra demand was there for 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom apartments or in an apart hotel because of families that were traveling during that time. Whereas back when school holidays would finish, you have business travelers who were normally staying in a 1BR or let's say or a studio. So from a revenue management perspective, the price optimization absolutely needs to be at a room type level, which I think almost everyone does now. It used to be the case, not every RMS was doing it. I think most do it now. So, and then of course, it just comes down to defining your competitive set. Now, one thing that I'll raise is that for an apart hotel, particularly 2- and 3-bedroom products, you're not just competing with other apart hotels, you're competing with Airbnb because they're everywhere. And in a lot of cases, consumers will prefer the sole use of an Airbnb house because it's, in theory, cleaner, safer, it's just ourselves. We don't have to go to a lobby full of people. I'm talking about now the pandemic time. So yeah, you obviously need to take care of analyzing your competitive environment very carefully, which for example, Lybra can do already. So competitor pricing analysis is important, but then I don't see any huge differences from what I've already described just now.
Awesome. I move forward with the next question then. So we have Yona Maria Constantine. What a great name, Constantine. Oh, it's a historical name. So let's move ahead. So she requests us, I would like to know what strategies do you recommend for direct clients and respectively indirect clients in this difficult times when people are I cannot read correctly but it's okay. When people are reluctant to travel, so they don't want to travel, corporations are cutting travel budgets and more cities are being closed. How can the hotels fight this? One of you just can give her a question. I can tell her, for example, right now, if you want to fight this, the most important thing, as we're talking about, not only about the lockdown, you need to double check the clients that you have in the past that have 400 kilometers because they will move to a car, for example, most of them, or train. They don't get airplanes because of the lockdown. If you're still open, go ahead, check what your clients used from where they used to come to, check your PMS and do the campaign directly for them. And any kind of marketing that will invest them looking on the geolocalization radio that we're going to use. For example, if you're going to put a radio of 400 kilometers, then you're going to pack them through Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you are used to. That's the best way you can fight us. At the moment, it's the best way. We don't have another way to fight us if you don't have an airplanes or your city has not kind of, everything's closed. That's the only way I think, and this time you can do it. If somebody else have a comment, please go ahead. If not, I move to the next question. Okay, I move to the next question. Let's go to Oscar Hernandez. Oscar Hernandez asked us, hi, good morning. My name is Oscar. I think that also a very important element to increase revenue is security tech. This element will have to increase. Is that correct? What do you think, guys?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah,
Sure. So Oscar says, I think that also a very important element to increase revenue is technology security. This element will have to increase. Is that correct? Maybe it's concerning, I don't understand very well the question, but maybe it's because of the LGPD. I assume is that what he's talking about, but about security. Oh, just to let you know, Oscar, all the software that are here, Amadeus, Ideas, Atomize, Libra, myself, Suite, we are just like we have security. We follow all the tech that we need and the LGPD for that protection. So all the systems are really highly protected for hackers. So this is something that when I worked from 2005 till today is all be applied for all the companies that pass through I have on mine. So yes, the question is yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think that the technology, I mean, the security comes by default. I mean, there is a lot of regulation in any country at the European level, US level, or even in Asia. So, I mean, if you are not under these secure parameters or even more, you are not in the market. So,
Correctly.
that's
yeah, exactly.
Let's go to the next question then. We have Renato Valentin asking us, are hotels, from your experience, willing to outsource the revenue management, since there is sometimes a full control culture of such a specific commercial element? As the first beginning, I think that already Erik answered this when he talks. Yes, you can check for outsourcing. Sometimes it's better than hiring a person, but maybe if you're going to spend 3,500 euros for a revenue manager, maybe a senior that will cost you even more. Maybe for that money, you can have an outsourcing and you can have 3 months, 6 months, and double check if they're working or not. Fernando, the word is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, some hotels, they outsource their revenue management, that's for sure. And then in our case, I mean, we have a digital, let's say, team in order to maximize the bookings, the direct bookings over the B2C or the website. And we've had customers with 50, with 100, with 200 customers, and even smaller, that we are their marketing strategies and the marketing executors. Probably we have the biggest, let's say, digital agency, which is specialized in hotels in the world. And we have plenty of these customers. So we, of course, and we have our objectives, and we need to have, let's say, constant business reviews, and we are very satisfied with this with service that we provide to customers. The good thing is that that allows us, to have which is the channel profitability, which are the most efficient, let's say, channels in terms of marketing campaigns, etc. And we have all that information that we share with our customers. Of course, without names, but we know how to bring profitability in each of the channels.
Thank you very much, Fernando. Yes,
I led.
Yes,
oh, sorry. I led, a team of 30 remote revenue managers in one of my last, role at IG. So in Europe, so we're about 180, 190 hotels, right? So it is definitely feasible. I mean, there's no discussion around that. Where I see by experience is that it might actually depend on the structure of hotels, and depends on where it's located and what. So a resort, for example, might be slightly more complicated, to outsource than actually a city center pricing, driven hotel with no F&B, for example. So I think it's got down into what you want to do and how it is structured. So in some cases, for example, you had rooms revenue outsourced, and the total revenue manager was on property. So the on property revenue manager was a total revenue manager, and then the room side was that remote. So he could actually focus on all the other, revenue stream, for example. So I think the outsourcing is definitely something to consider, 100%. You need to analyze and understand really what your objective with the revenue manager. But there again, is back to the culture. If you want to go outsource, make sure that you trust them, because I just, there are a lot of challenges with franchisees, in my old days by, taking outsourcing and then not believing. As I say, why are you just having an outsource, a person, right? So why are you choosing for that? So then you can't. But I mean, that's definitely the case. It must be in the future. Clustering and outsourcing is absolutely there. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to build on Damiano's, I mean, it's, it also comes down to talent. Where are you going to find the right and the best talent to complete, those revenue management related tasks for you? And, especially now with people working remotely, working from home, sometimes, not around the corner, but from hundreds and thousands of kilometers, miles away, I think there's going to be more of a shift towards that. And you just have, as back to the original point that I mentioned, you just have access to better talent when you have that level of flexibility.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly say, from a Libra perspective, our customers are hotels, obviously, or our customers are revenue management consultants. So we've got a lot of different consultants operating in different parts of the world who are the outsourced RM service for their hotel customers. Now, in some cases, they'll have their own spreadsheet, and they'll be frustrated because every morning they're going to ask the hotel to send them the data they need. In other cases, it's Lybra that's running there and all integrated. And obviously, being a cloud-based system, they literally can be anywhere in the world, ideally in the same time zone, so we can speak in the morning or at night without waking somebody up. But that's one of the benefits. I think it also follows on from what Philip just said, is if you've got this talent available and the only missing link is access to data to make a decision, that's much easier today than it used to be.
Awesome. So I will move forward with the those questions that will answer the question and we talk about that. So we have Arifon Belli asking us, can we still rely on past data since COVID-19 on historical data? Yes and no. You cannot compare, but you can use the data, as we said a lot of times here, get in touch with your clients, see which ones are near to you to impact them, and try to take that to your hotel. Then, will customers have the same purchase behavior? Of course, no, they don't. As we expressed during the session, we have during the pandemic stuff, before they start looking 90 days in the front, then they start buying last minute, they start 25 days up from now. It's now most lockdown they're looking for in the future. So those questions, I think, is done. I move to Rita C. Yes.
I just want to make sure that you don't underestimate it. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I just want to make sure I'm looking at Philip as well and Erik and Fernando, just to not underestimate the velocity that the machine is learning. When you just give some inputs, right? So if you give the inputs that the pandemic time is not to be considered for forecasting, future forecasting, I mean, the machine is going to just start, understanding straight away. So if you're it's like, you start a new hotel, that's from scratch. So it's going to start collecting this data, from the day one, and it will just utilize with the time. So we'll probably rebuild, that's what he's doing, this machine. So idea simply said, we just take this time out. It's not, but maybe in 3 years time, you just probably need this data because it might actually happen. I hope it doesn't, but there's something similar. So the machine is extremely quick and fast in understanding all this changing. And no human can actually compare to that, but not because we are less, it's simply because we are not capable just to get this information and elaborate this information in such a velocity. So that's something that I think must be explained to everyone. So the machine is learning 1,000 times quicker than actually a human being can. And that doesn't matter if it's not the last 2 months, it will probably be the next 2 years. So and the more collecting data you have in this sense, the better it will be anyhow at a certain point. So I'm just looking at Philip and Erik as well and Fernando, but we tend to underestimate the velocity and the capacity of a machine. So
100% agree.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, so sorry, Erik, just very quickly, and I mean, yeah, the power of machine learning is inevitable, and it notices differences and variances, the anomalies that are taking place, and it immediately applies it in the future, right? And I mean, sure, there's one element of because of human influence at some point, but majority, we have to work towards trusting this machine learning that we've put in place to help you, in this case, make the most money, and give you back time to do more important things.
Awesome. Guys, I move forward because we still have 8 questions to go. And they're very big questions. I'm so sorry. We really passed over the time that we locked out, but we locked here. But I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
Go. Right? Let's go. We have a lot of questions. Let's move forward. So, greetings from Portugal. We have Rita Silva asking us, for hotels opening during 2020 or 2021, what do you think about pricing, structure, and strategy versus competitive set? So I will do the question again. For hotels opening during 2020 or 2021, what do you think about pricing structure and strategy versus competitive set?
Okay, I'll start. It obviously depends on the hotel, and the reason I say that, particularly in Portugal, is I was speaking to somebody in Portugal who's opening a new property, and the property was quite unique let's just say it's unique, yeah? Now, I think they were, let's just say they were in Porto, but their competitors were in 3 or 4 different countries in Europe who had the same kind of concept of a property. In other words, because their property was so unique, their comp set wasn't your typical hotels in the area, the hotel next door. So I'm saying that because okay, you would have to know already your competitive in your marketing plan. You have your competitive positioning. Okay, so I don't know if you're 3, 4, 5-star leisure, business, resort. You know that, I don't know that. But opening this year or opening next year is perfectly fine. Your RMS, I can only speak for Libra, but the historical data does not matter anymore. Looking at recent pickup also doesn't matter anymore. You can open looking at all of the different demand conditions. When I say demand conditions, what's your position, for example, on hotels that you are competing with? How do you compare on prices? How do you compare with them on reputation when you just begin? What's the major gateway into your city? Are people arriving by car or are people flying in? All of these different elements are important to understand so that you have this data visible centrally in your RMS. But so in terms of answering your question more specifically, I would say, without looking at your business plan, understanding exactly what your product position is within the market. Like I said before, are you competing with hotels, resorts, apart hotels, Airbnb? Like, what is your competitive environment? And then to be able to have the tools in place where you can monitor the changes as they occur. So as demand conditions change in your favor or against you, being aware and being able to react to that real time is super important. Whether you're already open now or you're open next year, it's really important.
Awesome, Erik. I move forward with the next question. We have Corina Boronea requesting to get in touch with Paula. So Paula already copied the email of her. She wants to make business with you and that's sweet. So I just passed it through the email through your WhatsApp. You already have it. Get in touch with her and move forward. So we'll go. Oh, you're welcome. We'll move forward with the next question. Just give me 1 second, guys. I need to get done. So I will prioritize for the people that are still here. So 1 second. So many questions, I can lose myself here. Something that happens. Okay. So for everybody, we have Ricardo Sereno. We have been seeing a movement to decrease brand.com prices in comparison to OTAs and other indirect channels. What is your take on this? And for RMS, do you think that RMSs will adapt to this reality on a deeper level, not only on a shopping level, but also recommending price by channel? So basically, they're requesting if RMS will be able to recommend price by channel based on its strategy. This is possible or not, guys?
Of course it is.
Like you could obviously set pricing by.
What happened? What happened? I did something. Maybe tell something. I see Damiano very laughing there. Maybe I say some stupid thing. I don't know. I'm laughing.
I think it was with Philly. It was like, of course.
Yeah, we can do it.
It exists. Some technology is there. Oh, sorry. Well, Erik, I want to steal your thunder.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that. I mean, as Damiano's response also seems to demonstrate. I mean, this technology actually exists, and yeah, and I mean, there's revenue management providers out there. I mean, you know, Damiano, you know as well very closely what I'm talking about, as does Erik. You know, that are talking about being able to manage channels independently, and you should be moving into that direction, because when you want to maximize the profitability, you need to be treating channels also independently. So yeah, we're definitely moving into that space. But I do want to be careful that when it comes to OTAs, I don't want us to approach them as saying that they're the enemy. They're not the enemy. I mean, they're a partner, right? I mean, they give us, especially independent hotels, they give us access to markets that an independent hotel would never be able to access because they just don't have the marketing spend available. As an example, I forget the figure of how much money Expedia spends on their SEO and their SEM, but it's an enormous amount that an independent property could never be able to tap into or even compete with. So use them as a partner. Know when you need them, right? You especially need them during your need periods. You need to have access to the greater number of geographical markets and market segments. And then when things are getting really, really, really good, and when you have the opportunity to yield a little bit more effectively, okay, that's when you know that you have to yield out almost some market segments compared to others.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. And what I would also say is that the OTAs are absolutely not the enemy, but also they're doing a really good job. Okay, they charge heavy commissions, agreed. Do they charge too much whenever they can? Yeah, probably, for sure. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. However, they're reaching those markets, they're reaching guests that wouldn't know about you otherwise, okay? So, but if you look at this as a longer term strategy, this comes back not just to service delivery, that should be there for everybody, every guest, no matter how they book, but give people who book directly a reason to rebook directly or to recommend that other people book directly. If every single guest is treated the same, that's great if it's at a high level. Let me just give you one quick example, and I think it's a really low cost example. One time when I was, I'm a big fan of Airbnb. One time I was staying in Barcelona just by myself, and I arrived. It was summer, and I went to the apartment. I didn't expect anything. Okay, opened the fridge, 2 Coca-Colas, 2 waters, 2 beers. Like, wow. And a little note, welcome, enjoy Barcelona, blah, 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 blah. Wow, I was not expecting that. I'm not saying you need to do the same, but even if it's hot and it's summer, even a water can make such a difference. Now, especially if you have a minibar, because every single guest will sometimes use your minibar, but they'll do it in a very bad taste. They'll be angry. I'm paying $3 for this water. I'm paying $6 for the cashew nuts. And maybe they're going to the shops to try and replace it. But I'm just saying there's a way to encourage and try and grow more direct business on a consistent, slow and steady way, rather than just say, can we lower our price? And then, of course, you make the OTA upset. They lower your visibility on the page. Look, it depends, obviously. For those hotels who are really in demand, #1 ranked on TripAdvisor, yeah, you've got more power. A lot of the OTAs need you quite a lot more, but there's not many of those hotels that can really flex their muscles that way.
And I will add there another, very quick 2 points. The one is, yielding at net is definitely something that will happen at a certain point because of the profitability as well. We need to watch out that we're looking into OTAs as are today, but Google is around the corner, so I don't know what's going to happen there too. So, we're living into the present, but we know how many challenges they're having, and so be open, to whatever comes into the distribution landscape. However, what I always suggest to hotels and recommend is make sure you keep control of your inventory and of your rates. Because if we do another big mistake like we've done Hoteliers, and I've seen that many struggling there in the old days, that they lost completely control of where the inventory goes and how the rates are, published, then I think you're back into square one. So the whole discussion about wholesales, publishing net rates around there, and then suddenly there is no, markup, and so that's something that I would suggest and recommend anyone to keep an eye on that. So keep control of your inventory and rates, and then distribute it wherever you want.
Awesome. So
Vinicius,
yeah, so go ahead, Paula. Yes,
sorry,
please.
sorry.
I'm so
very,
sorry.
very,
Go
very
ahead.
quickly.
No, it's
Direct
okay.
bookings, it's kind of my field here, but I'm gonna be very, very quick. You're talking about OTAs. They're not the enemy, that's for sure. They get much more exposure to your brand than otherwise you would. There's no way to compete with them. I just want to put two things, two ideas here for hoteliers to think about now, and how easy it is to book in your website, because this is one of big reasons why people go to OTAs. And the number two also is about engaging and creating fidelity, like a loyalty story. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Damiano. Loyalty. Because I don't remember who said it, sorry, but someone said it. I read it on an article, said, I don't mind paying the first booking for OTA. I do mind if they come back and they still do it through OTA. And I think that's the key. So that's just the 2 points that I think everybody should have in mind. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome, Paula. Thank you very much. Guys, we're running really out of time. Also, this is recorded. So I'll move very fast now with the questions. I just request one of you take the question and take the lead to answer that. So the next question comes from, where's here? Mariona Bragulat. Hi, Mariona. How are you? It's a long time we don't speak. Mariona is Director of Sales at Travel Fleet Amadeus and Senior Director of Sales. I think you're still the same position. I don't know, Mariana, it's a long time I don't speak with you. Thank you to join us and participate here with all of us. So she says, hi, Vinicius, I have missed some more information regarding how to manage pricing and strategy combined with the increasing need of personalization. That somebody wants to speak about that or move forward? I will repeat the question. Yeah, I'll do it again. I'm sorry. Regarding how to manage pricing strategy combined with an increasing need of personalization, how this impacts into RM. So it's me. I understand that what we're talking about is the segmentation, how we need to understand the customer, from where the customer comes, and how we will apply the revenue management directly for the different channels of communication with our client. I think that's the main point. I already answered. Thank you, Mariana. Thank you. We have Christina Johnson asking us, you talk a lot about investing in technology and using forward-looking data. How should smaller properties handle this with a few hands and limited resources? One of you, go ahead and please, shortly. I will ask again.
Yes.
Lot about investing in technology and using forward-looking data. How should smaller properties handle this with a few hands and limited resources? My answer to Christina Johnson, go to Ideas, Libra, Atomize, and request them an RMS, and the pricing will be the best way to automate this, because handling this manually, if you want to do RM manually, you will lose. If you don't have an RMS and you're doing everything manually, at least you're gonna need to have a rate shower. It's a minimum that you need to have.
At least.
If you don't have that, go and you need to have you have Ideas, you have Libra, you have Atomize. We'll talk with them on the website traveltech.space. You have the LinkedIn of all those persons, so you can bother them if you need. So I answered the question right now, so I'll move forward to the next one. So,
very quickly, just in general, I mean, I think that for any property, if they want to understand whether it makes sense for them to install a particular system, I think any of us will be very honest and transparent with them, and even if we come to a point where we say that our system might not be the right one, I mean it's in all of our benefits to make sure that they get the most out of the tools that they're using, and we're all trying to do the same thing, but we go about it in different ways. So yeah, ask her to reach out to us, and we'll all speak to her openly as on a consultative manner to really make sure that we understand her pain points and how we can help her.
Great.
Awesome. So I go now to the last two questions. If I miss somebody, I'm so sorry. We have too many questions and we need to finish. I'm so sorry. So we have here Corina Boronea asking us, can hotels should rely completely to an artificial intelligence in pricing decisions? Yes or no? how do we protect from risks here? How far should they push automation? They're really good questions. One of you, please take the lead and answer. If you need to repeat,
I'm going to go for that one if you wish. But
go, Damiano.
I think, and I probably am sharing the same as Erik and Philip, and I think we will never say that the machine can actually take over everything in this sense. I mean, that's out of discussion, I think. For example, you might actually leave the machine just understanding what's the best pricing point, right, for any date in the future, for any length of stay, for any room type. But you will never have the machine deciding what is your strategy in terms of market mix, or in terms of switching of market mix, or in terms of product, or in terms of whatever it is happening at a hotel level. So I would just definitely leave the most out of it, into any machines. But this is for everything. It's not only for hotels. Believe retailers are doing the same. The supermarket does the same, right? So when you just enter, and the service is nice, and the price is there, and the price is here, and then suddenly at 6 o'clock we live in this all the time. Airlines is exactly the same. So we just get customized to that anyhow. So I think it's more around enter into this vision of having, yes, the machine should actually take a lot over, or could actually take a lot over, but the ends word will stay at this stage. I mean, probably we're going to be dead if it's going to change that, maybe, but it will stay in the hands of the revenue manager or the strategy or the commercial strategies. There's no way that the machine can know something that and the machine cannot know. So there's so many things happening in events. So that's managing by monitoring performance or by exceptions. But but to define a price by room type, by length of stay, by pace, by market mix, I just challenge every single revenue manager to do this manually at this stage.
And the one quick point I would say,
this is the last question, so take your time, and after that I will finish. So you can answer.
So who asked the question? What's her name?
I will just 1 second. What's 1 second? Works. Corina Boronea.
Okay, Corina. So I would say, think of the AI or think of the system as your assistant, not your boss.
Awesome. Great. Philip, it's the last time. If you want to say something.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I have to say is that we like to throw out these terms, AI, machine learning, but I think we really need to understand also what the difference is between the two. And there is a difference between machine learning and what artificial intelligence is. And if you think about, if you read into it a little bit, you'll hear, or you'll see that artificial intelligence, it's actually about unpredictability a lot more. And how can you factor in unpredictability? There's a very fine line. So I mean, this is part of an even bigger discussion. We can have a whole nother hour.
Exactly.
Going forward. I know. I'd love
or deep learning. We're going to talk about deep learning and machine learning.
But the good thing is that all the tenants, they're having a master class with pay without cost. So the only place they will find us, Travel Tech. All the others will charge them 1,000 euros for that kind of stuff. So they need to be happy.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, just making sure we understand what the differences between the two, and then knowing that going forward, what it is that we really should be embracing.
So guys, really, I'm really happy. This is the first time on the 4th edition that we took so long time period, but it was an outstanding time. I just want to remember that tomorrow we have more Travel Tech. We're going to have Travel Tech the entire week. Tomorrow we're going to discuss online sales and distribution, demand generation strategies in difficult times. We're going to have James Bishop from SiteMinder, Claudio Limancher from New Planet, Francine Haywood from Nothing Site, and Rudy Azevedo from RM Academy. So, and we're going to have our moderators, that Enzo Aita from Funnel TV, and Jennifer Nugget, Libra, and myself from HS Latin and Travel Tech. I would like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Idea Solutions, Libra Technologies, HS Latin, Ask Sweet Chat Boss, Remax, Tag Express, and Book Online Now. So thank you for your support. For our media sponsors, also Funnel TV, TND, Daily Digital. Thank you very much, and Revenue Hub to support us. Thank you everybody that listened to us. Till now, we have still a lot of people here connected. So it's amazing. We're really happy about it. So now, Paula, you start, then Erik, then Philip, then Damiano. I think Mr. Fernando, they need to leave. So you have there 1 minute to say goodbye. Paula, please start.
Just very quickly, thank you so much for being here. And this was a great panel to be a moderator. And I think, Vinicius, like I said in the beginning, you're doing a good job. And Damiano said, oh, maybe we're still talking about revenue management strategies and all that. Yes, Damiano, we still need, as you could see, I think in the audience, they're very engaged. There's still a lot of topics to be covered. And well, I think I'm very happy. I've learned a lot from the experts, and I truly appreciate this opportunity. And as Suite is very happy to be supporting this great event. So thank you, Vinicius, and thanks everybody.
Yep. Welcome. And
yeah, Vinicius, Paula, thank you so much also for the opportunity on behalf of Atomize. It's great being part here, and it's always nice to share knowledge. After all these years, and of course, great, Erik, to see you again. I know it's been a while, and Damiano to put a live face to the name, and looking forward to an opportunity for us to get together in this platform, or maybe even in person sometime in the near future in 2021.
Hope so.
Yeah,
Damiano, Zennaro. Exactly. No. Okay, Erik, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for everybody who sat through or will be watching it on record. I've been listening very carefully, even if I'm not speaking, but 3 people have already connected with me on LinkedIn from this actual webinar. So thank you for multitasking. Don't be shy. Happy to connect with you. Happy to have a more dedicated one-on-one talk with you anytime. Let me know if you're interested to connect and keep in touch. So thanks again.
Travel Tech is a revolution, Erik. It's a revolution of knowledge. That is a good thing. And that will happen. Damiano, Zennaro, per favore, sei contento.
That's really, this is the longest panel ever, I think. I just...
yeah, but it's a quick panel. Don't tell me that it's not a quick panel.
5:45. So, no, but it was very enjoyable, and I thank you very much for the time. So I hope, I see now there's still 63. So, gosh, I mean, you're just the heroes, because having still 63 people after almost 3 hours. I mean, it's very astonished. So it's great. So what I'm saying now, I'm just, I think it's a very exciting time, despite all the, what's happening. And there is so much happening around our industry. And, I'm in the hospitality industry for a long time. I never enjoyed, from the good and the bad, I never really enjoyed these last years because there's so much happening. So I just see we're going to come over as well from this, pandemic. And I think there's going to be only a bright, future and positive. So really looking forward just to share and contribute as well in the future for any other, panels or whatever is needed.
We're going to have, next year, we're going to have the 5 continents. So we'll start in March with the US and Canada. So we count with all of you to come to us. And we're going to have a new format next year because we'll take Travel Tech to an online fair. For the
we'll remember the 23rd of November 2020 last year we went 3 hours in a
we're gonna
right now 2021 we're gonna be 4.
We're gonna have the T-shirt I survived, the T-shirt that you have.
we passed through the pandemic.
When we started this webinar, it was kind of blue sky here, sunny.
Yes,
now
exactly.
I had to turn my light on. I was going darker and darker and darker. I'm not sure if you noticed, Vinicius. I had to switch my light on because it's now outside. It's black. It's dark.
It's black.
And actually, Philip has a glass of wine. We don't see it, but he has a big glass of wine there.
You need to start the happy hour with us now, Philip. I'm sure you're drinking. Show us. It's okay.
Just one, I promise.
Shame on you, Philip. You need to drink wine next time. So for all the people that's requesting me, if this is recorded, yes, this is recorded. Next week, you can access traveltech.space. All the panels will be there to watch. Just click on the panel for Emea, and you can watch all the sessions and our YouTube channel. So everything we do here will be recorded and will be in YouTube and our website for Travel Tech forever. So don't worry, you're going to have time in for the 2 hours and 40 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Philip, Damiano, Amadeus, everybody, thank you very much to be here and to be part of this great event worldwide that we create this year, and we go to the next and next. We don't stop travel tech anymore. Just help us to communicate with hoteliers, provide them knowledge, provide them deep insights for great professionals, as all of us are at the end. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening there. I'm gonna have a full day ahead. Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.